Alright, we've got the Leaf 3. This is a low B, so an easy glider for somebody just leaving paragliding school, but also wanting to progress and going to do cross country and just have fun.
If you've just started paragliding or have low airtime, I made this paraglider review for you. First I'll fly the wing, then discuss it with the designer. So you'll learn a lot about how paragliders are developed and what to expect in a low B wing.
Very nice, slender riser set. Very simply laid out, very easy to understand. Nice little bars on the back risers. We'll see how those work in the air, but that's just on the rear risers. So this isn't a bridge system, so you can't use too much of that. That's just a little bit of steering and guidance when you're on speed bar. Looking at the leading edge, it's quite an interesting concept here. We've got a combination of big, gulping big cells to really grab some air, and then a small cell with a little bridge line in the middle. So that piece will hold the shape very well, whereas this is going to bow more, lose a bit of performance, but you're going to get the air in the glider. Otherwise, there's really no sign of a shark nose. It's just a smooth aerofoil at the front. Let's see how it performs in the air and what it feels like. Leaf 3. Let's go fly. See if we can find a thermal. Oh, that's a jolly little shape. Looks quite small, compact and sweet. These little sticks on the back risers just give you somewhere to hold on to. But I think you must be careful not to pull down at trim speed, because it isn't a bridge. It's just pulling on the back risers, so that's for acceleration. Just trying to see where we can find a thermal here. Maybe out in front. I'll rate my chances more. Oh, okay. Takes a bit of time to go around in the corner. So not responsive on the first bit of brake. You need to be quite solid with your input. And I feel it's very unresponsive to weight shift. It doesn't really matter what you're doing. It's not really rolling it much. So that's designed for security, to give you a really balanced, easy feeling. You can get a quicker turn. It's quite a long amount of brake that you need to put in. So let's join the swing glider, come around there. That's better. Lots of traffic going in all different directions here, where sometimes having a quick turn is useful. You definitely can get the Leaf around, but I'm using quite deep brake to get it there, and I don't feel like the outside is really necessary for slowing it down. I'm just using that to catch on to the stronger part of the core. Incredibly balanced in the turn. So comparing to other gliders that have flown in the class, I think it's more balanced, more steady, and not really moving around. Stays in one position exactly. And it's a little bit reluctant to move from that position, shall we say. There's the climb. I'm just putting on the brake very simply. And the wing's kind of staying level, you know, it's not dropping in at all. So you really need to lean if you're wanting to get into a core and keep it there. I'm not feeling any change in the glider when I'm going into the lift. It's just continually calm. Ah, what an easy wing. So let's play around on the pitch a little bit. Try and get it to go forward. Slow it down. Release. And release. This is exactly what I would expect from a B glider, low B. Very balanced and exactly standard. On the turn, I'm going to let it climb out, roll out like that, and then put in the brake to turn. And this is the whole glider just moving in that spin without biting, without bending. So that's very, very predictable. The brake position for that was quite deep. I'm climbing out there, I'm putting in the brake, and super, very slow, progressive going into that move. I'm not going to touch the brakes, and it's dampened that pitch out in one cycle. Super, super easy. Big ears, entirely standard big ears, onto half bar, which is the way you should be. And for weight shift turn, slow response. As expected, it's very, very calm and stable, and straight out on the ears, which is what I would have expected. I expect being in this class, this is going to be a non-event. Asymmetric. Came out with a little bit of a drop, but I'm back on course again. So that's entirely standard as well. Let's see if we can look at the speed. What's a good line for you if I just go straight towards Schlick? Like that. We might get a decent average trim speed. Today in this direction, I've got about 33, 32. Going on to full bar. I can just get it on my speed bar setup. Let's just correct the direction. And now I go hands up. Now we're looking at the speed. 43. So pretty much 10 kilometers an hour on the accelerator, which is what you'd expect. Let's get a little idea of the agility. I'm going to let it go one way, weight shifting and turning. The other way, weight shift and turn. And weight shift, turn. And now we can go bigger. And over the wing we go. So yeah, you can build it up if you want to have some fun. Climbing it out, I'm just letting it go. Totally calm. Shall we spiral to the left? I'm leaning, we're keeping about half brake. And down we go. Roll. Off the brake. And I'm just leaning in to continue braking out of the corner. Super standard wing with no surprises. I've just gone through my little wake turbulence there, and the glider just holds itself together. So, it's exactly the same idea as the original Leaf. To me, it feels like low B, in that it's not a high B, it's an easy B, and it's everything that it does is entirely predictable, calm, balanced, easy, and you can thermal really nicely, but you're not going to get a sudden like a hook turn, or it hasn't got a lot of agility, and it tends to calm everything out and keep everything in one place. The glider just stays there, and you can completely ignore the glider and just have a nice day's flying. Very good. So I'm going to try the speed bar And now using these back rises just to see what sort of tolerance we've got here. Not a lot. So this is not intended to really pull down, you know. This is just contact with the wing and just a bit of steering like this. If I wanted to steer this way on an on bar, you can just do these little minor inputs. But equally, you could have done that without the handles, just holding on the risers like that. They're not really necessary. One advantage you have when you don't bridge the back risers is for strong wind landing. You should be able to kill this wing with the back risers nicely without interference, and also for holding the wing down on a slope. Right, let's have a little fun. Woohoo!
If you're enjoying these technical tips, you'll love my Flight Academy, where you can become part of a community of pilots who love learning and progressing. If you'd like more insights and help from a paragliding expert, visit my website and level up.
Slowing it down for the stall point just to check that. Not huge brake pressure, just a kind of steady progression in the brakes. And I'm holding it there. And it's resistant, and there it's sort of lazy. Okay, maybe I'll stall now. So it's a safe response, but it's interesting that the brake pressure is not massive down here. It's just you have to pull fairly far down to make it stall. So maybe just be careful of that on top landing. Don't expect to have a lot of resistance in the brakes. You must just be aware of your hand position. Supair Leaf 3.
Cool, I'm here with
Pierre Yves, hello. He's the designer for the Leaf 3. And I'm going to ask him a little bit about the glider. What were you thinking when you came up with the Leaf 3? You had the Leaf 1, I flew the Leaf 1.
Yeah.
I remember it to be a very simple, predictable, low B glider. So no surprises and very easy for pilots. Did you have the same thinking coming into the Leaf 3? What were you trying to do to improve and to change Leaf 1, 2 and then to 3?
Yeah, so this is the third generation of Leaf. It's still a B-axis glider. What we try from the Leaf 2 to the Leaf 3 is to have a better overlap between the Iona 3, the school wing, and this B-axis glider, which is even easier to fly than the Leaf 2. Easier to understand the way it's turning. The Leaf 2 was a nice glider, but a bit dynamic. This glider, for me, the turn is better balanced, and it's more easy to understand the way the glider is turning, and it's much more efficient in lift when you're tunneling, because the glider is you immediately understand, okay, the way you have to put the weight shift and the brake amount you need to get exactly the turn you need to be efficient in the lift. This is where we really worked. But the glider itself is very simple and very complex to design. More simple it is, more complex it is to design. We try to have as less lines as possible on the glider. There are 3 main lines per side, 3 on the A, 3 on the B, and only 2 on the C. And the top lines, we have 7 per side and per row, and it's very few. And the problem when you design this kind of glider, especially when you have not a very big aspect ratio, if you have few lines, you need a very complex internal structure and very precise internal structure. Because if you do not have with this, if you have very few lines and structure which is okay when the glider is in pressure, but that's when the glider will lose the pressure, then the glider will get out of the aerodynamic shape.
Yeah, it'll deform.
Yeah,
because there's too much tension.
And you can have a lot of problems. You can have the glider staying in stall. You can have the glider having some strange reactions. So everything must be really precise.
Yeah, I felt that when I was flying the glider, there was no change in the glider. In the thermal, out of the thermal, in the turn, it was stayed in one place.
Yes.
Precise one place. Maybe at the expense of agility. It feels like I needed quite a bit of brake to get the turn going. Like I pulled it and then nothing, and weight shift and not much. And there's a quite a large amount of input to get a turn, and then not much change in the turn. Quite difficult to change the thermal, the amount that you want to turn. So maybe if you can explain a little bit about your thinking there to make it not agile. Is this specifically to change from the Leaf 2 to make it more simple? Is that what you were saying, the step up from the Iona?
Yes.
Make it easy.
Yeah, this is the idea.
Energy to control.
Yeah. It's really depend first which harness you're flying with.
Yeah.
But with the Leaf 2, if you're flying an harness which is unstable harness, and if you're just jumping from the lower category to the Leaf 2, you can feel a bit, I will not say unsafe, but you will be not comfortable and need sometimes to understand and to control the turn. And sometimes I got some feedback. The people trying the glider told me, I do not understand. I feel it's a bit over-rolling or whatever. For me, it's when I designed the glider, I didn't notice that, because when you're flying a lot and you control all the movement, so you just think the glider is perfectly balanced. But when you give it to the target, the pilots that aim to fly this glider, then you suddenly realize it's maybe missing a bit of it should be a bit more gentle on the roll axis. And this
especially if they've just come out of school.
Yeah.
And it's like the talented beginner that is onto the B.
Yeah.
To start off with, you want something very easy.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So we made this glider, we developed this glider, and we flew this glider a lot, and we gave this glider to the target, to some students.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, we should not make a glider and test a glider just in the R&D team, but we should really take the people that will fly this glider and just sit like this and try to analyze what's going on and if everything is okay and if they like it. And you need that. It's extremely difficult, but you really need to. You cannot have a glider which is really dynamic on the turn and at the same way which is giving the safe feedback that the students want when they jump from the Iona to this glider. It's always tricky, and you need to say, okay, for me personally, as a advanced pilot, I would like the glider to be a bit more like this, but I'm not the target of this glider. So I need to, this is, I need a compromise here, and I need really to focus on what will be the target of the glider. We're quite happy here.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you very much. I really enjoyed the glider. I think for that target, for stepping out of school and wanting to go and fly in mountains, super simple, really easy, very balanced. So you've done a good job.
Thank you.
So thanks for your time and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with me on YouTube. There's a whole playlist from the STUBAI Cup for you to enjoy. Or get started on one of my online courses today and take your flying to the next level. I'm over on flywithgreg.com.